You're broke. Not because you don't make enough money, but because you're bleeding cash through wounds you don't even know exist. Every single month, you're throwing away hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars on things that add zero value to your life while you're sitting there stressed about bills, worried about retirement, and wondering why you can't get ahead. Today, that stops. If you've ever looked at your bank account at the end of the month and wondered where all your money went, hit that like button right now, because we're about to perform financial surgery on your budget. And trust me, you need this operation more than you think. Here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to hear. The average American family wastes over $18,000 a year on unnecessary expenses. That's not my opinion, that's mathematical fact. That's a paid-off car. That's a massive dent in your mortgage. That's your kid's college fund. But instead, it's vanishing into thin air because you've been programmed to think these expenses are normal. They're not normal. They're financial suicide. Listen, I've been teaching financial principles for over 30 decades, and I've seen the same pattern repeat itself thousands of times. Good, hardworking people come to me drowning in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, convinced they need to make more money to solve their problems. But when we dig into their spending, we find the real issue. They're not income poor, they're wisdom poor. They're letting money slip through their fingers like water because nobody ever taught them how to plug the leaks. Most people believe that cutting expenses means living like a hermit, eating rice and beans forever, never having fun again. That's the trap that keeps you broke. The truth is, you're already not having fun. You're stressed, you're anxious, and you're one emergency away from financial disaster. Real fun comes from financial peace, from knowing you have money in the bank, from sleeping without worry. And that starts with recognizing that you've been brainwashed by a culture that profits from your financial ignorance. You've been taught that certain expenses are just the cost of living in modern society. That's a lie sold to you by companies that want your money. Your grandparents didn't have 90% of these expenses, and they built wealth on incomes that would be considered poverty wages today. The difference? They understood the value of $1, and they didn't confuse wants with needs. By the end of this video, you're going to have a clear action plan to immediately cut at least $500 from your monthly expenses. And I'm being conservative with that number. For some of you, it's going to be double or triple that amount. You're going to walk away with specific steps you can take today, not next week, not next month, but today to stop the bleeding and start building real wealth. This isn't about deprivation, it's about intention. It's about taking control of your money instead of letting your money control you. You're going to learn how to identify the vampires sucking your bank account dry, how to eliminate them without feeling like you're sacrificing your quality of life, and most importantly, how to redirect that money toward actually building the life you want instead of financing everyone else's dreams. Let's dive into the 5 expense categories that are destroying your financial future. Starting with the most insidious one.
You are subscribed to death, literally. The average American household has 12 active subscriptions. 12! And half of them you don't even remember signing up for. Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, Spotify, Apple Music, that meditation app you used once, that fitness app you never open, that meal planning service you ignore, cloud storage you don't need, and software you forgot existed. Here's what's happening. Companies have figured out that you'll pay $15 a month forever rather than think about a one-time purchase of $150. It's psychological warfare, and you're losing. These companies bank on your laziness and your fear of missing out. They know that $15 doesn't feel like much, so you don't cancel. But $15 times 12 subscriptions is $180 a month. That's $2,160 a year. Invested properly over 20 years, that becomes over $100,000. Right now, pull out your phone, go to your bank app, look at every recurring charge from the last month. I guarantee you'll find at least 3 you forgot about. Cancel them immediately. Not tomorrow, not after you think about it, now. You can always resubscribe if you genuinely miss them, but you won't. Studies show that 90% of people who cancel subscriptions don't resubscribe within 6 months. For the subscriptions you keep, share them. One Netflix account can have multiple profiles. One Spotify family plan costs less than 2 individual plans. Stop paying for convenience you're not using. If you haven't used a service in 30 days, it's gone. No exceptions. This isn't harsh. This is smart. Have you checked your subscriptions this month? Type "done" in the comments when you've canceled at least one subscription while watching this video. Do it now. Pause the video if you need to. Every time you walk into Target for toothpaste and walk out with $100 worth of stuff you didn't plan to buy, you're falling for a trap that retailers have spent billions perfecting. Those end cap displays, those sale signs, that strategic product placement, it's all designed to separate you from your money. The average American spends $5,400 a year on impulse purchases. That's $450 a month on stuff you didn't plan to buy and probably don't need. That decorative pillow, that kitchen gadget you'll use once, that shirt that was such a good deal even though you have 20 shirts already. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and each cut is bleeding you dry. Here's your new rule, the 24-hour rule for any non-essential purchase over $20. See something you want? Take a picture of it. Wait 24 hours. If you still want it and can explain exactly how it will improve your life, then consider buying it. But here's what will happen. 9 times out of 10, you'll forget about it completely. That forgetting, that's your brain telling you it wasn't important. Delete shopping apps from your phone. Unsubscribe from retailer emails. Remove your saved credit card information from websites. Make it harder to spend money impulsively. Every barrier you create between you and spending is a moment for your rational brain to override your emotional brain. When you go shopping, use cash for everything except gas and groceries. When you run out of cash, you're done shopping. It's that simple. Credit cards make spending feel painless. Cash makes it real. When you hand over 5 $20 bills, you feel it. That feeling, that's awareness, and awareness is the first step to control.
The average American household spends $3,500 a year on eating out and another $2,600 on food waste. That's $6,100 going quite literally down the drain or into a takeout container. You're not just wasting money, you're wasting your future. Meal planning isn't sexy, but poverty is even less sexy. Spend 1 hour every Sunday planning your meals for the week. Write down what you're eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Make a grocery list based on that plan. Go to the store once, buy what's on the list, and nothing else. This simple practice will cut your food budget by 40% minimum. Stop eating out for lunch at work. A $10 lunch 5 days a week is $2,600 a year. Make your lunch at home for $2, and you just found $2,080. That's a vacation. That's car repairs. That's 3 months of rent in some places. But you're trading it for the convenience of not making a sandwich. Here's the brutal truth about restaurants. You're not paying for food. You're paying for the experience, the building, the staff, the atmosphere, and the owner's profit margin. A $16 pasta dish at a restaurant costs $2 to make at home. That $14 difference, that's the poverty tax on laziness. Learn to cook 5 basic meals really well. Rotate them. It's not boring, it's disciplined. Boring is being 65 years old and unable to retire because you spent your retirement fund on DoorDash. Delete food delivery apps from your phone right now. They're engineered to make spending $30 on a $10 meal feel normal. It's not normal, it's insane. You are not your car, but based on how much you're spending on it, you think your identity depends on it. The average car payment in America is now over $700 a month. Add insurance, gas, maintenance, and registration, and you're looking at $1,000 or more monthly. For what? To impress people you don't know at red lights? Here's a principle that will change your life. Never have a car payment, ever. But Dave, how can I get to work without a car? I didn't say don't have a car. I said don't have a car payment. Buy a car you can afford with cash. But I can't afford a nice car with cash. Then you can't afford a nice car, period. Sell the car with the payment. Today, buy a reliable used car for cash. A $5,000 car will get you to work just as effectively as a $50,000 car. The only difference is that one makes you poor and the other doesn't. Your ego might take a hit, but your bank account will thank you. If you must finance a car because you have absolutely no other option, follow the 20-3-8 rule. 20% down, no more than 3 years to pay it off, and the payment can't exceed 8% of your gross income. But honestly, if you're watching this video because you're struggling with money, you shouldn't be financing anything. Consider whether you really need 2 cars. Can you carpool? Can you use public transportation occasionally? Can you bike or walk for short trips? Every mile you don't drive saves you 60 cents in real costs. That adds up faster than you think. This is the silent killer of wealth. Every time your income goes up, your expenses mysteriously go up to match. You get a raise and suddenly need a bigger apartment. You get a bonus and suddenly deserve a vacation. You're running on a treadmill going nowhere fast. Your lifestyle should be based on your financial goals, not your current income. Just because you can afford something doesn't mean you should buy it. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is the only path to wealth. If that gap doesn't exist, you're just a high-paid broke person. Cancel your gym membership if you haven't gone in the last 30 days. That's $600 a year. You can walk, run, and do push-ups for free. YouTube has thousands of free workout videos. Stop paying for the illusion of fitness. Examine your housing costs. If you're paying more than 25% of your take-home pay on rent or mortgage, you're house poor. Consider getting a roommate, moving to a less expensive area, or downsizing. Your house should be a blessing, not a burden. Look at your insurance policies. When was the last time you shopped around? You could be overpaying by hundreds of dollars a year simply because you're too lazy to make a few phone calls. Raise your deductibles if you have an emergency fund. Bundle your policies. Remove coverage you don't need. Stop buying new clothes unless something is literally unwearable. The average American throws away 65 pounds of clothing per year. That's not worn out, that's just out of style. Fashion is a tax on insecurity. Develop your own style with quality basics that last years, not seasons.
Think about this for a second. If you're 30 years old and you invest just $500 a month instead of wasting it on these expenses, you'll have over $1.3 million by the time you're 65, assuming a 10% return. That's not a fantasy, that's math. That's the real cost of your current spending habits. What expense are you eliminating first? Drop it in the comments right now. Make a public commitment. Studies show you're 70% more likely to follow through when you state your intention publicly. Here's what's really happening every time you waste money on these expenses. You're not just spending dollars, you're spending your future freedom. Every unnecessary subscription is another month you'll have to work before retirement. Every impulse purchase is another day of financial stress. Every car payment is another chain keeping you enslaved to a job you might hate. You have 2 choices right now, and only 2. You can close this video, go back to your life, and continue wondering why you're always broke, always stressed, always one emergency away from disaster. Or you can take action today. Cut these expenses and start building the life you actually want. Most people will watch this video, nod their heads, agree with everything I'm saying, and then do absolutely nothing. They'll keep bleeding money because change is uncomfortable. They'll stay broke because broke is familiar. They'll remain slaves to their expenses because freedom requires discipline. But you're not most people, are you? You clicked on this video because something inside you knows you're capable of more. You're tired of the stress, tired of the worry, tired of working your life away with nothing to show for it. That voice inside you, listen to it. It's trying to save your life. Let me make this crystal clear. The 5 expenses we just covered are stealing at minimum $500 from you every single month. That's $6,000 a year. That's $60,000 over a decade. Invested properly, that becomes hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. This isn't about penny pinching.
This is about choosing wealth over waste. Here's your action plan, and I want you to execute it today. First, audit every subscription and cancel at least half of them. Second, implement the 24-hour rule for all non-essential purchases. Third, meal plan this Sunday and commit to not eating out for 1 full week. Fourth, calculate how much your car is really costing you and make a plan to eliminate that payment. Fifth, identify 3 lifestyle expenses you can cut immediately. This isn't about living a smaller life. It's about living an intentional life. When you control your money instead of letting your money control you, everything changes. The stress disappears. The worry evaporates. The future becomes something to look forward to instead of something to fear. What's the first expense you're cutting today? Write it in the comments. Be specific. I'm canceling Netflix, or I'm selling my car with the $500 payment. Make the commitment public. Make it real. If you're serious about transforming your finances, hit that subscribe button right now. Not because I need your subscription, but because you need this accountability. You need someone in your ear telling you the truth about money, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Remember this, you're not too broke to save money. You're too wasteful to build wealth. The difference between where you are and where you want to be isn't a raise, isn't a windfall, isn't a miracle. It's discipline. It's choosing your future self over your current comfort. It's deciding that you've been broke long enough. Your grandparents built wealth on a fraction of what you make. The difference wasn't opportunity, it was wisdom. They understood that every dollar had a purpose, and that purpose wasn't to make corporations rich. It was to build security for their families. Now it's your turn. Stop financing everyone else's dreams and start building your own. Stop being normal because normal is broke. Stop making excuses because excuses don't pay bills. Take control, take action, and take your life back. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. Choose your pain wisely. Live like no one else today, so later you can live and give like no one else. That's not just a catchy phrase, that's a proven path to wealth. But it starts with cutting the waste, and it starts today. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not after the holidays. Today. You've got the knowledge, you've got the tools. The only question left is, will you use them?